GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, I'm CJ Waterhouse. We're diving into the Quebec watchdog probe into a police shooting, plus a look at the REM service outage that left riders stranded. Traffic's heavy with road closures, and PJ Morton will be on tonight's playlist. Over to you, Jeff.
PJ Morton's concert at the Bell Center is scheduled for next Friday, with doors opening at 7 p.m. and tickets currently selling out across Montreal.
Tickets are available online and at venue box offices, while the supporting act includes local R&B group The Skyline, performing 15 minutes before Morton's set.
The Montreal Public Transit Authority added extra REM trains on the Green Line for the evening, aiming to accommodate concert-goers arriving from downtown and surrounding boroughs.
The concert promises a vibrant night for Montreal music lovers, and tickets remain on sale. Lots to get to. Let's begin. Here are our top stories.
The Bureau des Enquêtes Indépendantes has opened an investigation into a Montreal police shooting at a residence after officers responded to a report of knife-wielding individual on August 2026 at 3:23. Remy Gaudreau has the full story.
At a Montreal residence in the Côte des Neiges neighborhood, officers arrived after a neighbor reported a person brandishing a knife. Within minutes, a confrontation escalated, ending in a gunfire exchange that left the suspect wounded. The Bureau des Enquêtes Indépendantes has opened a formal investigation into the shooting, reviewing officer actions, and the circumstances that led to lethal force. Witnesses say the suspect stepped outside the doorway before being shot, while others heard multiple rounds. The incident occurred on August 20, 2026 at roughly 3:23 in the afternoon. Police have not released the identities of the officers involved, and the investigation will determine whether protocol was followed. The scene remains cordoned off as investigators collect evidence. Remy Gaudreau, GMNA News, Côte des Neiges.
A memorial service for Oliver Jones will be held Thursday, August 20, 2026, at Union United Church in Montreal's Little Burgundy neighborhood, honoring his life and contributions. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Families and friends gathered today inside Union United Church in the Little Burgundy neighborhood as a memorial service honored the life of Oliver Jones. The pews were filled with members of the Union United congregation and community leaders who shared stories and music reflecting his impact. A choir lifted hymns while a pastor spoke of Jones' dedication to service and the lasting imprint he left on the neighborhood. Candles flickered across the altar as attendees placed flowers, creating a quiet tribute. The ceremony, held on Thursday, August 20, 2026, concluded with a moment of silence before a reception in the church hall. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Little Burgundy.
Quebec prosecutors have dismissed criminal charges against 11 Longueuil teenagers, charges that stemmed from the investigation into the September 2025 police shooting that killed a 15-year-old boy. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
The prosecutor's office announced today it is staying criminal charges against 11 teenagers from Longueuil. The case ties back to alleged incidents that preceded the police shooting of a 15-year-old boy last September. Longueuil police had opened the investigation after that fatal encounter in September 2025, and the teenage suspects were originally charged as part of that probe. Prosecutors say the evidence does not meet the threshold for proceeding, so the charges are being dropped. Families of the youths will now face no further court proceedings, while the broader inquiry into the police shooting continues. No further comment was offered at this time. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Longueuil.
A new Ministry of Education survey reveals more than 2,000 teacher vacancies, as Quebec educators cite poor working conditions and staffing shortages for leaving the profession. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Survey data released this week shows Quebec's classrooms are feeling the strain as more than 2,000 teacher positions sit empty. Educators cite chronic understaffing and demanding conditions as the main reasons they're walking away, with a growing number opting for other careers. The Ministry of Education confirms the vacancy count has risen sharply, putting pressure on schools to scramble for replacements. Administrators report larger class sizes and longer hours for the remaining staff, while recruitment drives struggle to attract new teachers. The trend is spreading across the province, leaving many schools short of qualified personnel and prompting calls for immediate policy action. Parents worry about the impact on learning outcomes as resources dwindle. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
2 consecutive equipment failures halted REM service for roughly 4 hours on Wednesday, disrupting Montreal's rapid transit network. The outage stemmed from a track-side break. Remy Gaudreau has the full story.
2 back-to-back equipment failures halted REM service for roughly 4 hours on Wednesday. The first interruption occurred just after the morning rush, shutting down trains on the east-west line. Engineers identified a break in the trackside equipment, forcing a temporary suspension while crews repaired the fault. Service resumed in the early afternoon after the system was cleared and safety checks completed. The REM, Montreal's rapid transit rail network, typically runs trains every few minutes across the island, so the outage left commuters waiting at stations and seeking alternate routes. Officials said the incident was isolated and that repairs were completed without further delay. The line will be closely monitored as service returns to normal. Remy Gaudreau, GMNA News, Plateau.
We'll break down the class action lawsuit against grocery chains over fake maple syrup and what it means for shoppers. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. A class action lawsuit in Quebec now targets major grocery chains, alleging they should have known they were selling counterfeit maple syrup after a producer scandal. Consumers claim retailers ignored obvious fraud. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
The lawsuit now targets the country's biggest grocery chains, accusing them of turning a blind eye to counterfeit maple syrup on their shelves. Plaintiffs claim the Quebec producer supplied adulterated product and that retailers had the means to verify authenticity but ignored warning signs. The expanded class action argues the stores should have known the syrup was fake, violating consumer protection laws. This move follows a recent scandal that uncovered the producer's systematic substitution of genuine maple sap with cheaper syrups, prompting criminal charges and civil suits. Lawyers say the case could affect thousands of shoppers who bought the mislabeled bottles today across the province. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Quebec.
The United States and Canada have reached a tentative trade agreement after a 3-day tariff pause, but Quebec's premier says the province will wait for full details before endorsing it. Remy Gaudreau has the full story.
The United States and Canada have just announced a tentative trade agreement after a 3-day pause on newly announced tariffs. President Donald Trump and Bank of Canada, Governor Mark Carney, met with Quebec Minister Christine Fréchette to outline the provisional terms. Both sides say the pause was meant to give negotiators breathing room to resolve the dispute without further escalation. While the provisional deal lifts the immediate threat of additional duties, Quebec Premier remains cautious, saying the province will wait for the full text before endorsing any changes. Officials stress that the agreement is still subject to final approval in both capitals, and further details are expected to be released in the coming days. Remy Gaudreau, GMNA News, Quebec.
Quebec City Film Festival marks its 15th anniversary with a youth-focused program, showcasing emerging directors from September 9 through 13, 2026. Nadia Bellafuel has the full story.
At the heart of Quebec City's historic streets, the Festival de Cinéma de la Ville de Québec rolled out its program for this year's run, a lineup built around emerging directors. Marking its 15th anniversary, the 5-day event runs from Sept 9 through Sept 13, 2026, and spotlights a slate of short features, documentaries, and debut narratives from young creators across Canada and abroad. Organizers said the focus on fresh voices is meant to celebrate the festival's milestone while giving audiences a glimpse of the next generation of talent. The schedule includes nightly screenings, panels with up-and-coming filmmakers, and opportunities for audience. The venues stretch across the city's cultural quarter, from the historic theater on Rue Saint-Jean to the modern art center on Grand Allée. Nadia Bellafuel, GMNA News, Quebec City. Quebec's first adolescent bariatric surgery program opens at a Montreal hospital, targeting obese teenagers with 15 to 30 operations slated annually. The initiative marks the province's inaugural teen weight loss surgery effort. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
At a hospital in Quebec, doctors have opened the province's first program dedicated to bariatric surgery for adolescents. The new unit will perform weight loss operations exclusively on teenagers classified as obese, a service that has not existed in Quebec until now. Officials say the center aims to carry out roughly 15 to 30 procedures each year, focusing on patients whose health is severely impacted by excess weight. Surgeons will follow the same rigorous pre-operative assessments used for adult patients, including nutritional counseling and psychological evaluation, before moving to the minimally invasive procedures. The initiative is expected to fill a long-standing gap in pediatric care for severe obesity across the province. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Quebec.
Montreal's Martinez-Ferrata administration and city officials propose reviving the stalled eastern segment of the Réseau Express Métropolitain, a project halted in May 2022, aiming to link with Metro Green Line. Nadia Bellafuel has the full story.
City officials unveiled a plan today to bring back the stalled eastern leg of the Réseau Express Métropolitain. The proposal calls for a redesign that would tie the line into the Metro's Green Corridor, aiming to address the public concerns that forced the original project to pause in May 2022. At the time, lack of support for the downtown segment stalled construction, leading to the cancellation of the eastern extension. The new approach seeks to reshape the route, adding connections that could make the service more useful for commuters in the East End. If approved, work could restart within the next year, giving residents another transit option soon. Nadia Bellafuel, GMNA News, Plateau. Let's get a look at your afternoon forecast with our meteorologist, Jamie.
A rising high-pressure ridge under a swift southwest jet stream is keeping Montreal dry and stable. On this date, the all-time heat peaked at 32.1 degrees Celsius back in 2021, a blistering spike that arrived with an unprecedented heat wave across the province. The coldest reading was 10.7 degrees Celsius in 2020, recorded during an early autumn chill that slipped southward behind a deep trough. By contrast, the climatological normals sit around 27 for the high and 19 for the low, so today's 23-degree peak feels comfortably below the long-term average. The radar is completely blank across southern Quebec, no echoes in the north or the St. Lawrence corridor. With near-average pressure nudging higher and a fast southwest jet aloft, the air mass remains dry and stratified, preventing any lift that could generate showers. That stability will persist through the afternoon, so we can move straight to today's temperature and wind outlook. At noon, Montreal sits at 20 degrees with mainly clear skies and a humidity of 77%. Pressure is near average but rising, sealing in a dry, stable layer that discourages cloud development. Overhead, a swift southwest jet streak moving at 181 kilometers per hour reinforces the ridge, keeping the air mass warm and light. Temperatures will climb to 23 by mid-afternoon before easing back to 21 at sunset, while clouds linger only as a thin overcast veil. The UV index reads 5, and wind remains gentle at 4 kilometers per hour from the northwest. No weather alerts are in effect, allowing us to transition to the 5-day outlook. Looking ahead, Friday brings a continuation of the high-pressure ridge with clear skies and a high of 23, dropping to 12 at night. Saturday pushes the ridge further north, delivering the season's warmest day at 26 and a low of 14, all under bright sunshine. Sunday, the jet stream begins to dip, allowing a weak low to approach. Light rain will pepper the city with a 45% chance and temperatures holding steady between 26 and 18. Monday, the pattern flattens, keeping mainly clear conditions, but with a 35% rain probability as a stray front drifts east, high 21 and low 15. Tuesday returns to overcast skies, a modest 20% chance of rain, and a high of 20, low 15. The week stays mostly mild with only brief wet intervals. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic's up with closures, PJ Morton's music kicks off the afternoon, and Bergeron hails Suzuki as a franchise player. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Major hindrance this morning on the Samuel de Champlain Bridge access is causing queues that extend onto Rue Notre Dame and Boulevard René Lévesque. Expect delays of 15 minutes for downtown or South Shore trips. The Viger Tunnel between Rue Panet and Exit 5 on Boulevard Robert Bourassa is also backed up, with traffic crawling and spill over onto Rue St. Laurent. Likewise, the Ville Marie Tunnel between Boulevards Robert Bourassa and St. Laurent remains congested, adding 10 to 20 minutes for eastbound commuters. Overnight closures persist on Highway 30 near Vaudreuil-Dorion, diverting drivers onto Autoroute 27 and the Vaudreuil-Pont de Lac Bridge. Plan extra travel time. Minor slowdowns continue on Autoroute 520, the Laurentides interchange toward Autoroute 40 West, and the Ville Marie Expressway exit 5 to Rue Mansfield. Metro runs normally, though bicycles and dogs are barred from the yellow line after 6 p.m. This afternoon. Traffic should ease on east-west corridors as crews shift to night work.
PJ Morton takes the stage tonight at Theatre Beanfield, delivering his soulful blend of R&B and funk. It's a chance to hear his new album performed in person. If you're craving punk energy, the Vans Warped Tour rolls into Parc Jean-Drapeau this weekend, August 21 and 22, promising a lineup that will ignite the streets. The festival revives the city's legendary punk scene. Meanwhile, the MAD Festival kicks off at Place des Festivals, running through August 23, turning downtown into a runway of fashion and design you won't want to miss. Expect installations, talks, and runway shows that push creative boundaries. And for sports fans, the Montreal Beach Pro Tour continues at Parc Jean-Drapeau, where volleyball athletes battle the sand from August 19 through 23, delivering action right in the heart of the city. Catch the drama of match points as teams chase the title. Whether you're into music, punk, style, or sport, Montreal's summer calendar is humming. And now here's Jason with sports. Summer shifts stir the Habs, a KHL loan franchise praise, and a hopeful return. The Canadiens locked in prospect Bogdan Konyushkov to an entry-level contract, then loaned him back to Torpedo Nizhny Novgorod for the full KHL season. Should the Habs clinch a playoff berth, they can recall him, adding a fresh right-wing option to a depth chart already thin on speed. Veteran center Patrice Bergeron declared Nick Suzuki possesses every trait of a true franchise player, underscoring his evolution from rookie sensation to team cornerstone. That endorsement cements Suzuki's role as the offensive engine, and fans can expect him to shoulder leadership as the Habs chase another Stanley Cup run. After helping the Zurich Lions capture both the National League title and the Champions Hockey League, Vinzenz Rora returned to North America with his point production halved. The Canadiens will evaluate his diminished output in training camp, weighing whether his championship experience can translate into a reliable third-line presence. Keep watching the Habs, the story just getting started. Thanks, Jason. Amazon is planting fresh roots in Côte-du-Lac and Longueuil, unveiling 2 new sortation centers and its first 3 delivery stations in the province. The facilities will sort packages faster, bring parcels to doorsteps quicker, and generate more than 1,000 jobs with competitive wages, industry-leading benefits, and career growth paths from day one. For the surrounding neighborhoods, the hubs mean a boost in local commerce, new training opportunities, and a stronger logistics network that supports small businesses across Greater Montreal. Montreal's reputation as a tech-forward, logistics hub deepens and families here can see real career pathways without leaving home. Amazon's expansion underscores the city's vibrant, forward-looking spirit. It also signals confidence in Quebec's workforce and invites other innovators to consider the region as a launchpad. Coming up, we'll hear experts explain why the Quebec election won't jeopardize the new Churchill Falls deal. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Montrealers are gathering at City Hall on Notre Dame Street to honor the legendary jazz pianist Oliver Jones, celebrating his lifelong contributions to the city's music scene. Families, musicians, and city officials join the tribute, with performances echoing Jones's iconic melodies while a special plaque is unveiled in his honor. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing in the hushed marble lobby of Montreal City Hall, where a sea of black and white scarves and brass lapels swirls around a polished brass casket draped in a deep blue cloth. The scent of fresh lilies mixes with the faint echo of a lone saxophone playing Jones's classic, The Long Way. Families, students, and longtime fans line the walls, some holding weathered ticket stubs from the historic upstairs jazz club, others tracing the engraved name on the plaque that reads Oliver Jones, 1934 to 2026. Volunteers hand out small wooden cards with his signature riff, and a gentle murmur of shared stories rises with each passing minute. The city's mayor steps forward, his voice steady, recalling how Jones turned the streets of St. Laurent into a living soundtrack. For many Montrealers, his piano was the heartbeat of the city, a rhythm that never truly stopped. The crowd leans in, a quiet salute to a legend whose music still fills the streets. Carl Dumont virtually at Montreal City Hall. Welcome back. Experts say the upcoming Quebec election this fall will not jeopardize the new Churchill Falls power agreement, with Ottawa's influence expected to preserve the deal. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
The province is gearing up for a fall 2026 vote, but political analysts say the ballot won't endanger the looming Churchill Falls Power Pact. Ottawa's clout, they argue, should keep the agreement on track despite the campaign heat. The new deal, slated for announcement in the coming weeks, ties Newfoundland and Labrador's hydro-rich Churchill Falls project to Quebec's energy grid, promising long-term electricity exports. Experts stress that federal-provincial cooperation remains strong, and that the election's policy debates are unlikely to overturn the arrangement. They note the agreement includes a fixed price for power over a 30-year horizon, a factor they say makes it politically resilient. As parties rally across the province, the power contract sits quietly in the background, poised for formal signing. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Quebec.
Montreal City Administration has delayed approval for a new school in Park Extension, citing a need to verify projected student age growth despite recent CSSDM analyses. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
The city administration is still pushing back on plans for a new school in Park Extension, even after the Centre de Services Scolaires de Montreal released fresh demographic analyses. Officials say they need solid proof that the school-age population will actually rise enough to justify construction in the already dense neighborhood. While the Martinez-Ferrada government had initially signaled support for expanding educational capacity, the latest review puts the project on hold until growth forecasts are verified. The municipality is currently reviewing whether the projected rise in student numbers truly warrants a new building in the tight spaced area. Critics note the delay could leave families waiting for additional classroom space, but city leaders stress responsible budgeting before committing to new infrastructure. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Park Extension.
Thanks for joining us, Montreal. Today's deep dive into the Quebec Watchdog's probe of the Montreal police shooting highlighted the importance of accountability. We appreciate your trust in the lunch break, and we'll be back tomorrow with more insight and conversation. See you then.